Since it became the official faith of the Roman Empire, Catholicism had been the predominant social and religious power in Europe. It had been this way through the Middle Ages, when monarchies were in the majority and feudalism was commonplace. The Church was, for now, above the state. There had been several conflicts between the Church and state, even in the Roman Empire, with St. Ambrose of Milan and Emperor Theodosius, and the Holy Roman Empire, with Pope Gregory VII and Henry IV, with King Henry II of England and the memory of St. Thomas Becket, the martyr. Each time the Church retained supremacy in matters of ecclesiastical authority, each time the state was humbled before the Church, each time the state went to Canossa. In the 16th century, disgruntlement within the Church led to the Protestant Revolution. Martin Luther led the revolt in northern Germany, where Protestantism became deeply rooted. The Catholic Church then held the Council of Trent to reaffirm her teachings and to reform some of her policies and establish religious orders, such as the Jesuits. The Church, however, was waning in authority. Pope Boniface VIII could not subdue King Philip V of France. King Henry VIII of England broke off from Rome and seized church property, establishing the Anglican Church. During the 30 Years' War, the Protestant North held off the Holy Roman Empire, securing their de facto independence from the Catholic South, providing a base from which to expand its heresy and diminish papal power. Then, in the late 17th century, the Enlightenment began. This new philosophy championed reason and science over the faith and the order of the Church. With philosophers like Descartes, the immaterial world was discarded in favor of the material, which can be tested by science, unlike the spiritual. Such new views led to a rise in the popularity of the Machiavellian, where one does whatever it takes to attain a goal. This was mirrored in the real politics, the most famous of which is the Prussian Prime Minister Otto von Bismarck. Under Bismarck, Germany was united through a succession of wars against Austria and France, culminating at Versailles when the German Empire was proclaimed. The Prussian king became Kaiser Wilhelm I. Prussia, however, was a majority Protestant state, which now included the majority Catholic Bavaria in the south and Catholic Poles in the east. Altogether, Catholics accounted for 15 million people, 36.5% of the population. To counter Bismarck's open anti-Catholicism and to clarify Catholic doctrine, Blessed Pope Pius IX convened the First Vatican Council. This council defined papal infallibility. The Pope is infallible in making statements ex cathedra, out of the Holy See, the Immaculate Conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Mother of Jesus, and made it the official canon law that if a Catholic marries a non-Catholic, the children must be raised Catholic. This was in response to a Prussian law requiring children to be raised in the faith of their fathers. With Bismarck in control of a Protestant Reichstag majority, the first of the Kulturkampfs were passed in 1871. The Catholic and Protestant sections in the Prussian Ministry of Culture were merged in June, and in December the pulpit law was passed, which prohibited clerics from discussing state affairs in public in such a way that it would endanger public peace. In March of the following year, the School Supervision Act removed the Catholic Church from education and placed it into the hands of the state, a major liberal goal. Later in July, the Jesuits were banned. On December 23rd, the Pope denounced these laws as persecution of the Catholic Church. The term Kulturkampf was coined by the progressive Rudolf Virchow in a speech. In May, the bishops urged for Catholics to passively resist these laws made against them. The 4 May laws allowed for easy disassociation with the Church, limited clerical punishment of the laity, subjugation of the clergy to state courts, and required churchmen to attend to liberal state schools, and let the state control who was ordained and not. Then in 1874, new laws would punish clerics who did not submit to the state's authority. In 1875, they also resolved religious orders and cut their funding. In 1876, the pulpit law was also expanded. All these restrictions, which were meant to destroy the Catholic Church in Germany, only strengthened the resolve of her flock and led to the formation of the new Catholic Center Party, which would play a major role in the government until the rise of Adolf Hitler in 1933. They rallied behind their parishes against fines and persecution, following a papal encyclical which declared the Prussian ecclesiastical legislation invalid and threatened excommunication of compliance. Pope Pius IX also issued the Syllabus Errorum, which condemned multiple modern practices and ideologies. The Kulturkampfs had the opposite effect Bismarck wanted, and now he began to repeal them. The rise of socialism in Germany proved an even greater danger to the conservative monarchy and army corps. The Catholics were more conservative and against modern social developments, so even the Protestant Junkers sided with the Catholics. They feared the socialists more. Slowly, the Kulturkampfs were repealed and peace was made in 1878, though struggle continued. Many Catholics had left the country, and many nuns, monks, and priests were arrested, exiled, or simply left. Neither Pope Pius IX nor Bismarck won a decisive victory, and each had his share of defeats, but in the end the Catholic Church and her faithful persevered and survived yet another attempt at their eradication, emerging from the fight upright and victorious.